I'm walking through this old property which the forest has reclaimed completely, and occasionally I find evidence of someone who had lived here in the past. Some of the vegetation that has come up is vegetation that would have been planted. And, oh, look at that! Look at that! That is an old, not very big diameter pear tree. And it's barely hanging in there. That's really interesting. You look at the surrounding area, and nobody has lived here for, I don't know, I'm going to guess 75, 80 years, maybe somewhere in that range. There's a grove of Monterey pines over there, which are all dying back, and I'm going to guess that those were probably planted for Christmas trees a long time ago, and those are the only surviving members. There's something kind of cool. There's an old foundation wall over there. Walked right by it, didn't even know it was there. That was either where the house was or some kind of an outbuilding. Now there's bits of square rebar. And by the shape of this thing, I'm going to say this is probably an old swimming pool. That's pretty interesting. A swimming pool up here. It's hard to imagine with all the forest that's grown up around this that there would have been enough sun for a swimming pool out here in the woods. Okay, I found the far perimeter of this. This was a big swimming pool. This is a really, really long pool. It's about 60 feet by 25 feet. Big rectangular shaped swimming pool. Hard to see, but you can see some of the foundation is still in there. Out here in the middle of the woods. How bizarre. Makes you wonder where the house was. There's the road, which is now a trail. There's that big tree that has the cavity that was filled with concrete. So it must have been fairly close. I couldn't imagine them putting a swimming pool too far from the house. There's a clearing over there. I'll bet you that's where the house was. Actually, off to the right, maybe these were part of the gardens, because hypericum has naturalized in this area and it's taken over. There's vast amounts of a non-native ground cover that has just completely taken over this whole area. There's some vinca and some kind of reeds back over there that don't look native. Seems like that's a really wet area up there. There's a huge fir tree. Hard to tell. So much new vegetation has come up that this area could have completely been transformed. To find the old foundation would be a real challenge, but it's quite possible that the house was right up here. It seems to be a flat knoll, and there's a view, or there was a view off on this side, and possibly a view through the trees that way. But when this was all lived on, it was entirely different. Gotta do some research. And there's the resurrection of an old black walnut tree back in over there. That was definitely planted. And if this is the road that led up to it, and there's still a clearing up here, I would suspect there should be either the remains or possibly some old surviving fruit trees somewheres out in here. But I don't see any. Interesting. A big clearing like this is where you'd normally find something like that. but it's all overgrown now. I would imagine that one time this whole top of the mountain here was cleared. Maybe this was where they kept a barn, or possibly stables. Interesting. So at one time this was a prominent homestead, and judging by some of the concrete work and the wall work and the fact that they had a swimming pool, they were an affluent family. And nature has almost completely recaptured her territory in less than 100 years. You'd almost never know that they were there. There's a shade tree. Look at that. That's an uncommon tree. Some kind of a old, I can't even tell what it is. Almost looks like an elm. You don't find those up here. There's a lot of non-native things that are popping up that gives you some clues. Oh, there's remains of another non-native tree. That's resurrected itself out in the mass of that forest out there. Yep, we're only temporary. Mother Earth will reclaim whatever we do to destroy her. She'll take it back eventually. You have to look really closely when you go on these little adventures finding the history, because some things that you might not even notice, like this old elm tree. I don't know how old it is, but it's not native to the area, and it may not even be from the original planting. It may be a resurgence from a tree that's long since died, and there's a number of little elm sprouts throughout the property that are coming up. So even though the nature is taking over, man has left some plants that are going to either invade or acclimate themselves. It's amazing how what we do affects an entire region. Here's yet another oddball tree. We don't find these up here at all. This is a lowland tree that somebody brought up and planted a long time ago. And it's probably a lot older than it looks. It's a black locust. And it's planted right alongside the road here. If you put the wrong species in the wrong environment and they survive, oftentimes they will be like big bonsais. Like this tiny little tree that's less than 12 inches in diameter, it's only about 10 inches, might be 100 years old. It's certainly a very tall tree, and it's not a tree that you find up here. It is a native to California, but you find it down lower by creeks and some of the valleys. You don't find it up on top.